Good morning. Good morning, all you fine people, all two of you. How are you? How are you doing today? Today is Thursday, March 5th. Here we are. My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are all vanilla all the time because we just enjoy it. Don't read into it, okay? Don't overthink it. We're just here to practice what the browser does natively, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Don't overthink it, okay? I'm not ready. Listen, there are trade-offs to being somewhat on time and somewhat late. And I guess today the trade-off is that I'm just not ready. So let me pull up my files because we are working on a paid project that I have named Colorado. And I really am enjoying it. I'm really enjoying this one. Hang on here, pull up the design files. There we go. I know you can't see it yet, I know that. I'm preparing. All right. Wow, and my screen is frozen again. This is turning into a real pattern with OBS. I don't know why this is happening. This happened last fall a lot. And it was because I did something. It was a setting that I tinkered with. And I'll reset it here as well. And once I fixed it, everything went back to normal. There we go. That's working. Here we go. That's working. Yeah, there's really no illusion anymore about professionalism. I don't know. You get what you get, I guess, and you don't worry about it. Malik is here. Hello. Feels like I have broken my every stream streak. Sucks that meetings are on the same day as streams. Okay, so technically you can't sit here for the entire time, but you are still technically here and in the chat. So I feel like you have not broken your stream streak at all. I didn't even know that that was a thing you were going for. I had noticed for sure. You're always here. I appreciate you. Malik Robinson, Go Elmo in Florida. He is in his web design internship. It's his first gig outside of school. We're so happy for him. He has been so supportive, so generous with his time, freely giving up his time to help moderate the chat and to keep me company. Because this just isn't a big channel, and sometimes we have tens of people and sometimes we have single digits, and he's just always here supporting me. I appreciate him so much. And the fact that you would even log in, leave this message, and then go to your meeting says volumes about you, Malik. So please don't worry about it. Trust me, I appreciate you. And you know what? We're going through kind of a slow time again where the audience, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes my audience is pretty big, and sometimes my audience is pretty small. And you know what? That's fine. I honestly, it is what it is. Are we not? There we go. There we go. It is what it is. I've accepted the fact that it takes as long as it takes to continue to grow, to get the numbers, to get the watch time, to get the subscribers, to get the views, the likes, the clicks, all of that. I totally get it. And I'm just going to keep showing up because even though it's taking longer than I thought it would, I kind of look at the result of what I'm able to, I'm looking at the work that's getting done, which is amazing to me. In my entire almost 13-year career, I've never done this much open source work ever, and I've always wanted to. And I've always wanted to just build the things that I thought that I wanted to do the work, stream the work that I found most helpful to me when I was learning. And I wanted to give back to a community that I think was so generous giving to me when I was learning, if that makes sense. And I'm honestly blown away when I look at all the projects that we get done in these streams. Yeah, so it's all good. It's fine, right? Curious here. Hello. Welcome. Yeah, do me a favor. Whoa, we're off to a banging start today. Do me a favor. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe if you are not already. Helps the algorithm, helps push this out to more people who might enjoy this type of content. Yeah, and helps us grow, right? If you are hanging out on Instagram, you can find me over there. My handle is Angela J. Holden, same as the YouTube channel. My content, I don't do a ton of content on Instagram, but I am definitely a doom scroller, a daily doom scroller, and I'm kind of always hanging out over there. So if you have questions or you want to DM me, you can reach out to me there. So there's that. And Malik says, oh, Kiri says already a subscriber. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're happy to have you. And Malik says, I have back-to-back meetings today. It is so annoying trying to get multiple people to meet at a specific time. Oh boy. This is your life now, Malik. You live here now, okay? You live here now, coordinating meetings. That's like literally, you're going to spend, first of all, you will spend half your life as a developer, maybe more, in meetings and or coordinating times that work for everybody. You live here now. What do you think web design will go in future after the AI thing? So I have my opinion has not changed. First, let's talk about AI. I love these questions, by the way. I love these questions. I will be the first to admit that AI has gotten better even in the last 6 months, because I've been on the struggle bus with AI and problem solving for the last 2.5 years. I've been like a AI power user since I want to say fall 2023. So I feel like I've seen firsthand what it's really able to do. And when I see how GitHub Copilot in particular works, it is impressive. It's very impressive. I stand by what I've always said, though, which is that I think AI is a tool, and it's a tool to help us work faster, smarter, and more efficient. And I use AI in the streams. I have used GitHub Copilot in the streams, and I've used ChatGPT a lot in the streams, especially to write JavaScript. I mostly use it, if I'm not using it for JavaScript, I'm mostly asking questions around accessibility, clarifying, maybe HTML elements and how they should be used, things like that. But I stand by what I've always said, which is that it's a tool. I know people are afraid that it's really going to take over for development, and I just don't see that happening. Like, I think about the JavaScript that we wrote for this navigation. Let's pull this up because we just worked on this in the last stream on Tuesday. Let me blow this up here a little bit. So I wrote all of this JavaScript off stream, and then I came on stream and we wrote it all out together, and I explained it and I talked about how I wanted this navigation to work. And let's actually pull up our navigation, because I think this is such a good example of what AI is capable of. And here. So here's this sub-navigation, and I had this very specific goal to make sure that this sub-navigation was accessible and the markup made sense and that we had the correct user experience. So if we tab through, there's our search. Our links are getting highlighted, our buttons are getting highlighted, but do you see here what's not happening? The navigation, those subnavs don't actually appear until you interact with the button. And then once that subnav appears, now we can tab into. And then if I open another subnav, the old one closes and we can tab into this again. The other thing that I wanted, so my mouse is up here in the upper left-hand corner. I wanted to make sure that if you hit the escape key, you're also able to close that navigation. So I had a very specific vision for how this sub-navigation needed to function, how it should function to be accessible and have the user experience that I thought was both accessible and just a consistent user experience for people. Listen, if I had just gone into ChatGPT or even GitHub Copilot and said, give me vanilla JavaScript that opens and closes these submenus, I don't think I would have gotten the experience that I wanted. I think it would have just done what I said to do. I really had to go back and forth with ChatGPT and ask for very specific things. And ChatGPT a couple of times was giving me bad information. It was telling me, it was just, I can't tell you specifically what, but it was giving me information that I was like, yeah, actually, no, that's not right. That's not what I want to do. And so maybe what that isn't important. But the whole point is that I am the architect of the navigation and the submenus and how it functions and how I think it needs to look to be accessible. ChatGPT is a tool to help me write the JavaScript to execute the user experience that I believe needs to happen. That is why AI is so incredibly powerful, useful, and important. But the developer is the architect. You are the architect. We are the architects. It is our job to understand what the user experience should be. It is our job to understand what the accessibility experience should be. And then we can use AI to help execute that. I believe that that's true, and I stand by that. That's my answer. It's a tool. Developers, humans, we are the architects. AI is the tool to help execute. I also saw something kind of cool on Instagram the other day. Was it Instagram? Maybe it was YouTube. I don't know. Talk in relation to like vibe coding. Think about the software, like infrastructure critical software that we rely on to keep us safe, like software in an airplane, software in, I don't know, name something where software runs an appliance or a device. And part of the job of the software is to make sure that the device is still safe for us to use. Do you want that software vibe coded? Really? Do you want the software used in a Boeing 747 to be vibe coded that nobody really understands, that ChatGPT just pooped out? No. So I think that that's a good example of why vibe coding is maybe not so good. And I think that there's probably going to be entire careers made for software engineers who are going to fix that type of engineering. So, but also we're in our infancy with AI. It's only really been around and been used consistently for the last couple of years. We're still figuring out how to use it. Organizations are still figuring out what it can really do. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball. I use it for a lot of different things. It's like a good strategic tool when I'm like doing titles or keywords, or I'm coming up with ideas, or I have an idea for a video I want to make, or I have an idea for something that I want to do. I love ChatGPT. I love having those conversations with ChatGPT to like flesh out my ideas or think about different things that I want to do for my channel or for social media or for just anything. It's a really cool tool, but it's a tool. That's what it is. So And Melissa says, I don't think AI can take over design at all. A lot of sites that are AI created are repetitive. AI's creativity doesn't compare to human creativity. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, ooh, I'm going to say something really unpopular, which is that I have nothing but respect for CSS libraries and frameworks. I think Tailwind is an amazing tool. How many AI generated websites all look the same because they're probably just using Tailwind utility classes? I don't know. I'm just asking. So it doesn't replace humans. It just really doesn't. Not yet. Okay, good. I enjoy talking about this type of thing. So I don't mind when I get these questions at all. Well, are we ready to do a little bit of work? One moment. Uno momento. And let's see here. This is a fun question. What kinds of projects did you do in the last 13 years, and what is the hardest one? So I started my career as a WordPress developer. So for the first I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I was doing custom WordPress development. I was a freelancer. I did a lot of contract work. So I had my own clients. The bread and butter of WordPress, or at least at the time, was just fixing broken WordPress websites. Let me tell you, I can remember a couple of times being broke as a joke, wondering if I was going to be able to pay my rent. And I would put ads on Craigslist just advertising that I could fix WordPress websites or build WordPress websites. And I would get calls and I would charge $200 or $300. I would fix a broken WordPress website, update the plugins, do a backup, do a little audit, tell people what they could get rid of, make suggestions. And it was easy money. I don't know. I don't know today if that would work. I honestly have no idea. But at 10 years ago, that was an amazing way to earn extra cash. And a couple of times I was like, shit, my rent is due in like 3 days and I'm $100 short and I don't even have money to go to the grocery store. And then I would put ads on Craigslist and I would get 1 or 2 calls, fix a couple of sites in a couple of hours, and boom, I would have $500 or $600 and I could pay my rent and I could put gas in my car and go to the grocery store and life was good. It was stressful, but it was also incredibly fun. I look back on those days and I'm like, wow, Angela, you knew how to hustle. You knew how to get shit done. And the thing is fixing those sites was nothing. It was a breeze. Once I learned WordPress and I understood the hierarchy of problem solving in WordPress, it was very easy. And I did a lot of agency work. So WordPress primarily was the first half of my career. In 2018, I got my job at the University of St. Thomas here in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I was the lead front-end developer and eventually became the manager of front-end development for about 7 years. And that was amazing for my career. I mean, it was really, really amazing for my career, what I learned working there, the people that I worked with, the other teams that I worked with, the team that I was a part of. It was a very, very special experience. And everything that I do in these streams is because I had that job for 7 years. The confidence that I have now is a result of that job and everything that I learned how to do there. And I left St. Thomas a year ago on good terms. I still do some contract work for them. All of the people from that team, they're still my friends. I got my software engineering degree from St. Thomas, so I have nothing but good things to say about them. But yeah, eventually it was just time to move on and go back to freelancing, contracting, and really being on YouTube. I have wanted to do educational content and teach for a very long time. Since the day I started working, since the day I started learning development and just teaching myself development, I've had this running dialogue in my head of everything that I do. And streaming helps me get that out. And I love it because I get to interact with people in the chat. I get to explain what I'm doing. And I love educating. I love being an educator because I feel like I'm pretty good at this. And I love being able to talk about it and explain how I think the right way to do things are. So, and I'm always here to have a conversation. If you want to challenge me and tell me you don't think I'm doing something the right way, let me know because I'm happy to have those conversations, and I feel pretty confident in my own ability to talk about why I make the decisions that I make. So, Malik says, that's a short right there, cooking with gas right now. I've been so lazy about doing shorts. I'm probably 100 hours behind on editing, but you're right. That is a short right there. How did you get clients in freelancing? I think it's hard to get clients nowadays. So yeah, again, this was 10 years ago. So the height of my freelancing was 2014, 20, well, let me think. 20, probably the height of my freelancing was 2015, 16, and 17. Those 3 years were my peak freelancing years. Initially, I used Craigslist because I, again, broke as a joke. I could not afford to pay for Google Ads. And I remember trying to figure that out, and it was complicated and expensive. And I was like, there has to be another way that I can like put ads online to try and find clients. So I don't exactly, I mean, I remember finding in like actual jobs like employment through Craigslist. So I thought, well, why don't I put ads on Craigslist advertising my services? And the bar was very low. I wasn't the only one doing that, but I figured out that you could put HTML in the Craigslist editor. So I would format my ads really nice. I learned the rules. I didn't stuff links into my ads. I put in lots of screenshots in the image carousel, and it worked beautifully. I had no trouble finding clients. People found me and called me and would like hire me on the spot. First of all, I answered the phone. I responded to emails. I'm sure I just gave them a lot of confidence. They didn't feel like I was going to rip them off, and I didn't rip them off. And that's how I found clients. And then once you do that, once you find enough clients just from advertising, here's the thing, small business owners know other small business owners, like especially within a community. So I'm from Minneapolis and St. Paul. I always put ads on Craigslist for the Twin Cities. And people in this community, it's a small town, people know people, or people like people who went to college together all went out and started businesses, right? And they all still hang out and they talk. And one guy's like, oh, I know this person who built us a website. If you need a website, give her a call. So stuff like that. So lots of referrals, or people who went to church together, or people who, I don't know, people talk. I also found clients, when Heidi was a puppy, I would take her to the dog park and I would just talk to people at the dog park, and people would be like, oh, you're a web designer. How much does a website cost? And I would say, well, this is how much I charge, and this is what I do, and these are the kinds of sites that I build. And the next thing I knew, somebody was like, oh, good, I want to hire you to build a website for me. Or I went on a podcast once, an Etsy podcast, and this is an actual client that I have of a charter school in Phoenix, Arizona, heard me on a podcast talking about WordPress and web design, a podcast that I had done like a year before, found my email online, sent me an email and asked me to build them a website. That was 10 years ago. They are still my clients. I still charge them monthly. I take care of that site. I make changes when they need help. So you just have to get out and talk to people, make sure that you have a portfolio that represents the work that you do. If you don't have clients, then you need to do what I'm doing in these streams. You need to go find mock-ups, you need to practice, you need to put your projects, your practice projects in your portfolio. You need to show people that you can do the work that you want them to hire you to do. A portfolio is vital. It's very important. My portfolio always represented my aesthetic, my design capabilities, my aesthetic, and what I was able to do. And people would flat out say to me, you have the aesthetic that I like and I want for my website. So they knew before they even talked to me if I was somebody that they wanted to hire, because they could see the work that I was doing. That's another reason I do these streams and I do these projects and I put these projects in my own personal portfolio. It's a big circle. It's just a big loop of practice, projects, clients, freelancing, the work you do, and showing people what you are capable of doing. It all feeds into one another. I hope that makes sense. So that's my experience over the last 13 years, at least. So, listen, it's rough out there. It's tough out there. It's tough right now. Human beings still need to do this work. I have not been convinced otherwise yet, that human beings aren't still needed. And if you think that human beings aren't still needed, I'm sorry, you're not doing the work. You're not here doing the work with the rest of us. You're not actually using ChatGPT to find out what it's capable of. If you think that ChatGPT or AI can do all the work and that humans aren't needed, then I don't think you really actually understand user experience or accessibility if you think that's true. You don't actually understand what a user experience is supposed to be. You don't actually understand what accessibility standards are if you think that ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot can just do all that work for you. You don't understand. So and I'm not saying, Kiri, that I'm talking about collective you, the people who criticize or who wonder why I do this. Those are the people who don't get it, who really don't understand why humans are important and why they need to be here to do this work. So, Kiri says, I'm a college student. I want to start a career in web development. Can you give me any tips? I mean, I feel like I just did. Start practicing. Start practicing. You need to show people that if you want someone to hire you to do the work, then you have to show them you know how to do the work. Like, that's number one. So, yeah, you can do it. I believe in you. Listen, I've said this before, I'll say it again. The fact that you are on a front-end development stream, hanging out in the chat, asking questions like this, it speaks volumes about where your head is at and that you're taking it seriously. So if you want to do the work, get busy. Time to get busy, my friends. And Malik says, find your target audience and develop your skills. So you're very welcome. We're happy to have you. Thank you for subscribing and all of that. And thank you for the questions. I love it. I love these conversations. I love it. Okay. Should we do some work? Here's where we're at. Zoom this out a little bit. So goes without saying, I am thrilled with what we've done in this navigation. There are some styling things that we still need to do, like see this white border here. Technically it's gray, but it looks white. We have some fine tuning to do with the styles, but for the most part, our navigation, our submenus, it is accessible, it is responsive, and it is locked in. But we're going to come back and refine these styles. Overall, I think the header just looks fantastic. Let's actually see. We really need to dig in and finish this footer today. But let's just take a look-see and see how things are looking for mobile. Like, look at this beautiful header. This transition. I mean, stop it. Stop it right now. Why does it look so good? Here we can escape. We did this layered approach to closing submenus and the navigation. So I hit escape once, close the submenu, hit escape a second time, close the drawer. It's a thing of beauty. Everything else is looking nice and responsive. So I think we need to obviously make this responsive. We still have a testimonial slider to finish building. This needs some responsive styles, but not too many. And then let's just dig in and get our footer styled, and then come back in with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that everything else is nice and responsive, because we have inner pages to build. We have lots of inner pages to build. And Carrie says, I have made a few sites before. I loved to watch the web design stuff. Well, that's good. Keep going, Carrie. Keep going. So, okay. So I'm going to dig into styling. Go ahead and put anything that you want to say in the chat, and I will read your messages out loud to the class. If I don't respond to the chat right away, please don't be offended. It's just because we're going to do a little focus work. I'll keep one eye open. But for the most part, I just really want to dig in and get busy on styling and see if we can at least get this footer wrapped up today. I think we can. So here's our footer. So I'm also going to give the footer the section class, because that'll give us our padding. There we go. You can kind of see there. There's our padding. Good. Although we have these borders. That might be okay. No. Yes? No. Let's see here. Well, we have a border issue anyway, so I'm not going to worry about that for now. This has a wrap. This is the aside. So the footer wrap has these asides. I think we should go ahead and use grid. Footer wrap. And we'll just say display grid. Grid template columns. 4. Repeat. 4, 1. FR. There we go. And then let's get this Instagram feed here, or it's the IG grid. I'm not actually using the API for Instagram, so we're just going to load in our own images. So let's do another grid here for the IG grid. So we'll say Instagram grid, IG grid. Can you use grid within a grid? Why do I feel like this is not going to work? Why do I feel like we've done this before? I feel like we're going to have to use Flex for this, but let's see what happens. 3, 1, FR. Oh, I guess it's okay. And we'll put in a gap, 0.5 rems. We obviously need to style these containers. So we want these to be squares. Right now they're 100 by 75. They're basically taking up the size of the image. We want to put the image inside the figure, but we want the aspect ratio of the figure to be 1 by 1 or a perfect square. So we'll do IG grid, figure, and we're going to say width 100%, height auto, and then aspect ratio 1, which will give us a nice box. And then we'll do IG grid image, and we're going to say width, width 100%, height 100%, and object fit cover. Now we have nice squares, just like that. And grid can be a little weird when it's nested inside another grid, although we've got grandparent, parent, grandchild, so maybe it's okay. Flex, I have no trouble nesting flex elements within flex elements, parent, child, grandchild. Grid is very strange though. So, oh, and we have a web dev is dying. I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. Thanks for subscribing. Appreciate you. Okay. And let's fix this. This is an M dash. And wait a second. M dash. Wait a second. M. I can't remember. Is it? There we go. M dash. Perfect. Oh, maybe we want to do an N dash. Yeah, that works. Okay, so here is our Instagram grid. Everything is nicely aligned here. Let's give this right here some gap. I think the gap here, we'll give it like 2 rems. And then let's make sure that our footer unordered lists, I'm going to keep it intentionally a little bit generic. So we'll say footer UL, I'll say padding 0, margin 0, and list style type is none. Oops. Footer. Oh, look at that. I didn't put these inside UL. That's obviously not semantic. There we go. And then these need a little more space. They also need to be uppercase. I'm going to give these a little bit of letter spacing. We'll give the LIs a little bit of margin, maybe just 0.5 rems on the top and bottom. And then footer, LI, target that anchor element. We'll say text, transform uppercase, letter spacing 1 pixel. There we go. And then we'll remove the underline. I was kind of thinking about doing this anyways. So we styled our anchor elements to have a text decoration, have an underline by default, and then the hover is that it was transparent. I think I'm going to reverse this because of these links right here. So we've got, excuse me, we've got blue links. I think I would prefer that when you hover on the blue link, you see the underline. I think that I like that better. So I'm going to change this to transparent, and we'll put that there. So that'll just invert those. Yeah, I like that better. And then the count here, this gray, we'll go ahead and use our gray color to color that, to just make it a different color, but it'll still have the same behavior. So footer LI, we'll do footer LI, and then I'm just going to target the span, which has a class of count. I guess we can just do that. Footer, well, we probably don't need to get that specific. And we'll just give this a different color. We're going to use this medium gray. There we go. Looks great. So let's style this now. So here's the first aside right here, which has 2 items. So let's do footer item. And we'll just give this a little bit of margin on the bottom. We'll say maybe 2 rems. There we go. And then here's our social navigation, which is getting nearly all of its styles from the social nav in the header, which is justify flex end, because we have it pushed all the way over to the right, but we're going to change it just a little bit here. Also in our design, it's a circle, so we'll just change a couple styles just for the footer. So we're going to do footer social nav justify content flex start. That's the first thing we're going to do. And we're going to change the footer social nav anchor element. We're going to change the border radius to 50% and make those circles. And so the background color is still going to be transparent, but we're going to actually put a border. We can do our gray border and then just transition to this. Yeah, we can do that. So we'll do border. Border 1 pixel solid, and we'll do our medium gray color. So Malik says, why is it always something when I step away for a bit? Web Deb has about 15 hearts. It is alive and kicking. Are you talking about the comment that just happened? I don't know what that means. Web Dev has 15 hearts. I don't know what that means. Tell me what that means. I think I'm going to make... Let's add a little more. I think we need a little more space here. I think I'm going to do a lighter gray and 2 pixels. Yeah, I like that. And then we need to transition the border also. So the social nav right now has a gap of 0.25. I'm going to increase that to 0.5. There we go. And then let's transition our border. So we would be transitioning this. So focus, hover, active. So we are also going to transition this. So I don't think we have to, everything else is transitioning. We're just adding this transition. So we'll do ease in, out. And then the border would transition to, I think we can just transition, well, I'll just do the whole thing. Solid. And we'll transition to our accent color. I think we do have to include everything. The timing is not... Timing is off. Yeah. So here's our anchor element. Here's our hover. Hover. Yeah, okay. So this transition is being overridden by this transition. Okay, that makes sense. So we have to put in the transitions for the background color also. Which is weird because the background color isn't here. It's on the one styled for the header. So it's weird that we have to include it here, but I get it. So background color, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. There we go. Now you can see that, oh, you can't see. I'm so sorry. My giant head is in the way. Okay. There you, now you can see that this timing matches. There we go. All right, I'm down with that. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and let's go ahead. Yeah, this may need to be, if we're going to have a separate border, then I don't think we can put that section class on the footer. We could put the section class here to give that some padding. And then the footer, well, no, the wrap, I think we need an extra div. Because the entire thing needs to be inside. The entire thing needs to be inside the footer. We need the section for the padding and for full width. We need the wrap because these things are contained. But we also need the section for the border on the top and bottom. And then we need this to be full width. Well, this can be, it only needs to be full width because we need the border on the top and bottom of the section. So let's do that. Whoops. So we'll do border top, 1 pixel, solid, and I'm just going to use this gray color, and then we'll do the same thing. Perfect. And then here's our copyright statement. So we'll just text align center that. Put that right down here. Oh, so you're saying that people liked the comment that web development is dying. I mean, that's okay. I don't know. I still think that if you're watching a front-end development live stream and subscribing for 20 minutes to hang out in the chat, I don't think that you really think that. I think that maybe you're just trying to be, I don't know, you just don't have anything else to do, I guess. I don't think that you really think that. That's just my own personal opinion. So let's add, I think we can add the section class to this as well and give it a little padding. No, that didn't work. Wait a second. Oh, that doesn't work because we'll just give it our own padding, but also we don't need text align center. I think we can just add our center class, and then we'll just give this it's some of its own padding. So we'll say 3 rems on top and bottom, 1 rem on the left and right. What's going on here? Oh. There we go. Beautiful. And then let's make this uppercase. So we'll say text transform uppercase, letter spacing 1 pixel. Beautiful. We'll do, we'll pop over and write a little JavaScript here for this. look at how beautiful this footer looks. Should we give this a little more gap? God, I love a good footer. Love a good footer. Whoops, right there, 3 rows. Yeah, beautiful. Let's pop over and just do a little JavaScript for this copyright statement. We'll do it right here. So we'll say copy function, copyright, const date. What's my markup here? Oh, so we have an ID of copyright. What do I usually do? I usually say date. And the date will equal document get element by ID. Oh, you don't have to put in the hash for that. And then we'll get the year, and that's new date. And the method is get full year. And then we'll say if date doesn't exist, so if for some reason that doesn't exist, we'll just return. Otherwise, the date text content equals the year. Beautiful. I kind of like having, I'm going to switch around. I'm going to put this in between. There. Beautiful. And then this links back to my website. What do we think? God, I love a footer. I love a good footer. Maybe could use a little more space up here. This has a lot of space, probably because paragraphs also have a lot of margin. Yeah. So, what's happening here? Okay. So I'm going to take the margin off of these paragraph tags. I'm just going to say margin 0. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I actually think that this looks fine now. This looks balanced. So let's make sure our footer is responsive. So if we're squishing things down, so here's 1024, just like this. Let's do a media query for 1024, and we'll just do stack it 2 by 2. So here's what we're going to change, just like that. We'll say at media, max width 1024. We don't need this. I'll change this to 2. I don't know if we need to change the gap or not. I think that gap's okay. And then this holds up pretty well. Look at that. So when do we want to change this to 1 column? 500 pixels? $600? Let's do 600. So we'll change this to one column at 600 pixels. So we'll do at media, max width, 600 pixels. We don't need that. Change this to 1 FR. And I'm just going to change that to 1 rem. Okay, so now clearly we need to deal with our Instagram feed, which holds up pretty well to, I mean, honestly, you could probably get away with not doing anything. I think I'm going to change the Instagram feed to, oh, so this stops responding because of this right here. I mean, you can't shrink a window to nothing, right? Maybe we don't need to do anything here. So 320 is what I try to always support. So here's 320 right here. Well, 316. There's 320. This holds up perfectly to 320. Oh, and we need to do this also. And we need to tighten up this as well. Okay, so I'm going to say that the footer is fine, but also our footer styles might be kind of impacted here by the fact that this is not responsive yet. So clearly this has some overflow issues. So let's make sure that this is responsive. We're skipping around here a little bit. So, and Malik says, I'm confused now. I was responding to his comment. I'm confused too. It's okay. It's okay. I don't mind things like this. When somebody says that web development is dying or AI is gonna take our jobs or what's the point? Why would you do this? It doesn't bother me in the least. So, and if people like that or heart it or think it's funny, I don't like. Okay. So, 'tis fine. Okay. Let's get a media query here. So this is our section blog, and the grid is on the wrap. So this holds up pretty well too. Well, here's 768. I wouldn't want to go, here's 600. I mean, it kind of holds up to 600. We're gonna do a media query at 768 for this. Yeah. So here's what we're gonna change. Come right here, say at media, oops, max width, 768. And we'll change this to 1 rem. Whoops. Yeah, that looks fine. We might want to tighten up some of our we must not be clamping. No, we are clamping these. Yeah, this all looks fine. This looks good. This is a pretty small screen, 375. I like it. Our footer holds up well. I'm not worried about this grid at all. 3x2 is just fine for the screen size. So let's adjust this a little bit. These arrows, really what I wanted to do here, here's our slider navigation, which on desktop is space evenly. I think for mobile, so you can see there it's spaced evenly. You can also do space around, which pushes it out a little bit more. If we do this, that might be okay. If we change that to space around, that holds up pretty well. Let's just change that to space around. That's nice and responsive, and then we don't need to do anything different for that. So that is right here. And then let's make sure that our arrows have hover. So here's our slider nav. Here's our buttons, 48 by 48. So I think what I'm going to do is the tap target will remain 48 by 48, but I'm just going to make these, we'll make these gray and we'll make these a little bit smaller. And then when you come in and they get focus hover active, then we'll transition those with our accent color. So here's our slider nav. Here's our SVG. So we're going to make those SVGs a little bit smaller. Let's find our markup. Here's our markup right here. One moment, hold please. Okay, so right now our SVGs are what? The SVGs specifically are 3 rems by 3 rems. The buttons don't have any additional padding. So I'm going to change the SVGs to be 1.5 rems by 1.5 rems. And then I'm going to give the button padding of 0.75 rems, which will still equal 3 rems width and height for our tap target. So we'll say width 1.5 rems, height 1.5 rems, and then slider nav button. Oh, I guess slider button, it does have its own class. We'll give this padding 0.75 rems, and that should equal 3. There we go. And that's a lot smaller, but we still have our 48 by 48 tap target. And then the color is going to be gray, medium gray. But also let's make sure that this has a hover active focus. So we'll say background. Color is going to be transparent. Yeah. So we'll do slider button focus, slider button hover, and slider button active. The background color will be our accent color. And then we'll copy these. And when we focus on the slider button, we want to trigger that SVG. When we hover, we want to trigger the SVG. And when the button is active, we want to trigger the SVG. And we're going to change the stroke to white. Yeah. And then let's make sure that this is all transitioning. So we're going to transition the background color. 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. That's the timing that I like. And then we need to also transition this SVG. Transition the stroke, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. And then I'm going to give this button a little bit of border radius. So border radius, just 5 pixels. There we go. So here's our buttons, still 48 by 48. Beautiful. I like it. Do we need to tighten up? This feels a little spacey. I don't know. Do we need to tighten any of that up for mobile? Yes, no, maybe. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's go ahead and push this and take a look on an actual mobile device. So we styled the footer and improved responsiveness. So we'll give that a second to deploy. Here is our GitHub repository. If you're interested at all in looking on your own mobile device, put that in the chat. And we'll give this a second to percolate. And let me get my phone out. Let's see here. One moment, and I will pull up my screen. So a lot of the contrast doesn't come through on my streaming software. So that's why I put the link in the chat if you're interested in looking on your own device. I'm happy with this though. We have to figure out how to get those borders in there. We haven't. Hang on. This is not fully deployed yet. Let's see if we can. Yeah, this hasn't deployed yet. Hang on 1 second here. I'm going to switch to Safari. The caching on Safari isn't quite as hardcore as Chrome. There we go. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Here we go. Safari is much better when it comes to caching. I think this looks really good. I'm very happy with this. Let's see if it's caught up on Chrome yet. Yeah, caching is a lot stickier on Chrome. That is fine. We can see it on Safari. Everything is looking really good. I'm definitely pleased. Yeah, we need to refine some of the styles for the navigation. I'm not too worried about that right now. And I think we missed an inline style for our SVG for the search icon. We will put that on the to-do list as well. So good, 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 good. Things are looking good. Let's move on, shall we? And which backend language are you using? Not using a backend language. This is a static HTML, CSS, and JavaScript website. No backend language. That's it. I just practice. If you're new here, first of all, welcome. Do me a favor. Like the video, subscribe if you're not already. It helps the channel grow. It helps the algorithm. It helps push this type of content out to more people who are interested in front-end development. You can also find me over on Instagram at Angela J. Holden. Hit me up in my DMs if you have questions about anything that I'm doing on the channel or you just want to chat. So on this channel, I just do vanilla. I just do vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Those are the three things that a browser renders natively. And in my experience, I've been a front-end developer and a software engineer for almost 13 years. There are a lot of new developers coming out of boot camps, maybe CS degrees, just new developers in general who don't know a lot of core foundational concepts. React, Tailwind, Angular, Vue, all those things, super important. Obviously, you have to know those things to get a job. But you also need to know the basics. You need to know the difference between a div and a span. You need to know the difference between display block, display inline, and display inline block. I think it would be incredibly helpful if you understood some basic positioning like relative, absolute, fixed, sticky. Those things are really important and they're going to help you in the long run in your career if you understand a few basics. Also, I just happen to really love practicing vanilla. I enjoy it. You don't need a package manager. You don't need Node. You don't need a compiler. You can just open up index.html, style.css, script.js, and you can build something and you can see it in the browser. It's beautiful. So we're just here to promote some vanilla stuff. That's all. Practice. It's just about practice. So if you have a desire to get better at vanilla and understanding how the browser actually works, I recommend that you maybe do 1 or 2 projects using vanilla. You don't skip Node, skip Yarn, skip your package manager. You don't need it. Just practice 1 or 2 things with vanilla. I promise you'll get better at this if you have a desire to. So let's keep going, shall we? Okay. Are you, is GitHub not, what's going on with GitHub today? Why are you not deploying? It said it deployed. There we go. Okay, so everything is deployed. We need to figure out how to get these, the best way to get these borders in here. I'm not super in the mood for that. Let's do this. Let's do a little bit of busy work, shall we? What else do we know that we need? We know that, let's make some pages. Well, we're going to make some folders. We know that we need an archive page. This is like a category page, or I guess we could just call it blog, right? It'll list the blogs. We know that we need a contact page. We know that we need a portfolio page. We've also got gallery, about. I think we need like a generic page. So that could be like our about page. So let's make a list. Let's do a little bit of busy work here. Plan some architecture. If you're going to be a front-end developer, well, if you're going to be any kind of developer, you do have to, it's in your best interest to learn how to do a little bit of information architecture. Plan out your pages and what do you actually need. So let's call this just QA.md. And let's call this the QA and to-do list. So we need pages. We need pages. We have a home page. We're going to have a blog page. The blog page is, so in WordPress, we called this an archive page, or it could also be your taxonomy page, your category page, your keyword page. It's basically an archive or a grouping of all of your blog pages. So I'm going to call this the archive template. We need a contact page. So the great thing about a contact page is that this can also serve as our template for just a normal generic page. So if we style this page as our contact page, then we could take out this stuff here, which is basically a contact form with a little sidebar, and just make sure that this is like a main content area, and any content that you have can go in there. So let's make a contact page and an about page. Contact page and about page. So these would be like the page templates, right? Page template. This is unique. This is unique. These are page templates. What else do we have here? We have a portfolio page. Portfolio page. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we also need just the actual blog article page. Blog article page. So we don't have a template for this yet. No template yet. Typically, your blog article page is not the same as a page, but they could be. They could be the same. So we could decide, just as an example, just throwing this out there, if we're going to build a sidebar, which we have a sidebar here for our blog archive page, this could also serve as a blog template page, but instead of being full width for the content for a page, we make sure that that sidebar that we built out for the blog always lives on the blog template, and then the content part would just be over here. That's an idea. But also we should look through the Photoshop mockups for this pack of designs. I'm absolutely sure that there's a blog template in there. So let's just hold off on that, but that's one way to do it. So we need a template. So no template yet. So that's 6 pages. And then, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things in the navigation. So I would say that we don't need gallery and we don't need services. So we would have home, portfolio, blog. And then the submenu for blog would be individual blog posts. And then the submenu for portfolio would be individual portfolio pages. So we would maybe want to do a portfolio page, which would really be like, again, an archive page. And then a portfolio page. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which means we would have 6 top-level nav items and then 2 submenus. I love it. So let's have that reflect here. So here's our top level items: home, portfolio, so we'll say portfolio item. This will be 1. This will be 2. This will be 3. This will be 4. And then here's our blog items. So this would be blog item 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take out gallery, and then let's take out services. And then this would be, we could call this page. But do we need this? I don't think we need that either, because I feel like about and contact are going to represent. So we've got home, portfolio, blog, about, contact. You know what? Let's include a page template. We'll include page template. Why not? It'll be, because I'm going to actually make a contact form. I'm actually going to make an about page, and then we can have a page template. We'll maybe do some kitchen sink content, right? Whoops. Yeah, why not? Page template, about, and then contact, and then we've got blog items and portfolio items. Beautiful. Yeah, we kind of need to nail this down before we start building out inner pages, like actually building out inner pages, because there is no templating in HTML. Now, in my personal projects, I would probably use PHP to do a little bit of templating. I'm not going to do that here. So this is another reason why I like to do an entire complete page first, head to toe, responsive, accessible, everything working, because once I have that page working, I make a copy of it for all of the inner pages, and we have a lot of inner pages. I don't know if we're really going to do 4 each for the blog and the portfolio. I'm not going to worry about inner pages for those quite yet, but once I make inner pages for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus the home page, now we're managing 6 sets of navigation because there's no templating. And admittedly, that's a little messy when you're dealing with static. I don't think I would never tell you to build an enterprise level website or even a medium-sized website like this, all static, unless you're prepared to lock in your navigation, because it can get a little bit messy. But for the purposes of practicing and building vanilla, this is still a really, really good exercise for you and for me, because it helps us stay organized and it helps us understand how the browser really works. So I still promote this method for the purposes of practicing and understanding. But yes, I'm good with this navigation. I'm good with this navigation. So that means we need, oops, and I'm just going to build these folders now. So we need an about folder. We need a portfolio folder. We need a blog. Whoops. We need a blog folder. What else do we need? About. No, page template. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. About, blog, page template, portfolio, contact. And then in each of these folders, we're going to put an index.html, and then inside the blog, we would put the names of the blog items. Same with the portfolio. Yeah. We're also going to build a JSON file for our blog elements, and we'll write a promise to pull in some JSON data for this. Because why not? I don't do that enough here. This might be it for today. I think I got this done a lot faster than I thought I was going to. So I think this might be enough for today. So what do we need to do then starting this weekend? What's the next thing that we really need to do? I realize there's some styling that I need to do for the home page in those borders. I have to be honest, I'm not in the mood to deal with those borders. So I might hold off on that. I guess we're just going to get busy building inner pages because our header and our footer is basically done. I feel like we just kind of nailed down the architecture for what we need to do. So I think on Saturday, we need to just start getting our inner pages in place and then decide specifically what we're going to build next, which page we're going to build next. I'm leaning towards the contact form because it's the page template, and that will take care of the contact page and the about page and the page template. It would literally take care of 3 things at once. If we did the contact form, it would set us up for our page template and our about page. So I think that's the goal for this weekend. What do we think? Thank you to everybody who came to hang out with me today in the chat. Kiri had some excellent questions about AI and getting started in web development. I love that. Monique Robinson was here. She's a mod in the chat. Malik was here. He had to run to a meeting. Let's see here. The real Xavier was here. I don't like it when people call me bro. I probably shouldn't say that. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I think real Xavier was trying to be critical and it didn't work because real Xavier came back and asked a question about what backend language I was using. So there's that. Everybody, do me a favor. Like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you're not already. I'm here 4 days a week. Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I am starting a sprint. Oh, one moment. Hold, please. I am starting a 6-day sprint on Saturday this weekend. So yeah, Saturday through Thursday, there's enough to do. We've got a many page website going here. So there's plenty of work to do. Trying to make up for some time that I lost at the beginning of February when I had a sick dog. Yes, I had to take time off for a sick dog and a middle of the night emergency room vet visit, which was dramatic, lengthy, and expensive. So we're making up time for that. Also, the channel's growing and YouTube loves it when I stream more. So why not feed the beast, right? So come hang out with us starting Saturday for a 6-day sprint. We're just going to be working on this project, building out the inner pages. We've got a contact form. We've got a newsletter sign up. We're going to use MailChimp for that. I will I'll make a JSON file for the blog. So we'll do a little more JavaScript. That's always fun. Every project on this channel ends with a deployment stream. I love DigitalOcean. I've been a DigitalOcean user for a decade now, and I love a good LAMP stack. Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP is pretty much where I deploy all of my static projects to. So come back and hang out, especially for the last day of the project when we just set up. Well, I already have the server set up. So we'll set up a virtual host, we'll configure our DNS settings, we'll use either rsync or FileZilla, whatever I feel like at the time. We'll install an SSL certificate. It's going to be so much fun. Deployment day is like my favorite. Well, I don't know. I love all of it though, but deployment just like closes the loop on every front end project for me because what is the point of doing front end if you can't see your work in the browser on a domain name that you thought of and went out and paid for and bought and configured the DNS settings for? I mean, really. So, we have that to look forward to. All right. Everybody, have a great rest of your day. I love you all, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye-bye.